Hello everyone and welcome to a game called Halloween Hypertales. I'm ready and eager to play it because it looks like that the style of the game looks really cool. So, let's get started, shall we? Oh. I've been waiting for you on this cold October night. Would you perchance like to play a game? The Hitchhiker. Okay. I'm so glad you've joined me on this Halloween drive. Though it's increasingly doubtful you'll leave here alive. Ha 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 ha. Halloween night, the enveloping darkness is broken down by a moon that is as full as you've ever seen it, and the headlamps of your car. All else is shadow. You approach a crossroads, a thin mist ahead. You peer through the window shield, trying to work out the way home. Okay, I'll turn right. Oh, you take a right, turning, the road getting a little bumpy beneath the car, but nothing but fields around here, you note. Gradually, the heavens open up. A crack of thunder, the flash of light. Up ahead, you see the figure, a man holding something in his hand, drenched in the rain. He is at the side of the road, looking worse for wear, trying to flag down a ride. You think back to when you used to hitchhike and consider helping them out of this downpour. The door opens and the smell hits you. Is that gasoline? The man seems jovial enough and grateful as he gets into your car, shivering a little as he gets comfortable and puts on his seatbelt. Many thanks, friend. It's awful weather to be stuck out in the open. You nod and try to brush off the weirdness of the situation, taking him in, the scruffy hair sticking out from under his hood, the scraggly beard, the lines in his face, the soaked overalls, the smell. Like gasoline? You try and brush off how uncomfortable you feel, and not look like you're wincing too much at the smell. Hoping to start a conversation, you ask your passenger's name. The man turns his head to look at you, then looks out the window as you drive, his puzzled look reflected in the glass. I don't remember. Taken aback, you start to think this was a big mistake, but decide to focus on the road ahead. The man puts a gasoline can between his feet on the floor and smiles at you. Sorry about the smell, the man says, pointing to the can despite the smell coming from him in general. Can't be helped. You try to laugh it off, though you're not sure he's convinced. You enter a tunnel, slowing down a little as you pass another car, seemingly abandoned, the engine still running. The man looks frightened at the car for some reason, so you pick up speed again. He hums as the sound of the rain cuts out momentarily. He might be crying, but you don't want to stare. Noah, the man says. My name is Noah. I remember now. You feel a little better knowing the man is probably just disoriented, and tell him your name. I know, he replies. You shiver at his words. He seems harmless enough, if a little odd and spooky, but that smell is getting worse. The rain's familiar pitter-patter resumes as the car leaves the tunnel, turning the windscreen wipers on again. You swap stories about where you grew up, and he finds details difficult. He seems certain he'll remember more, the closer he gets to his destination. You drive through the rest of the stormy night in silence, wondering if your companion is inebriated in some fashion. The smell is getting overbearing. Suddenly Noah seems to perk up a little. He points to the side of the road. "Slow down here, please. Just here." Slowing down, you notice a husk of a house on the side of the road. It sits in ruins, and you're sure it must have been burned down at some point. This can't be right. I remember now. I remember that this is my house. This is where I died in a fire. The car crawls to a stop. You look straight ahead in fear, desperate to not look at Noah. But seeing out the corner of your eye, smoke emanating from his clothes. You hear the door open, and Noah slides out. He stands up on the side of the road, and you watch in horror as he suddenly erupts into flames, burning bright as his screams pierce your heart. You slam on the accelerator, careering away in shock, the burning man vanishing from view as you put as much distance as possible between you and them. You arrive home shaking. For as long as you have your car, the smell never goes away. The end? And so our tale comes to an end, my delicious friend. And while you feel safe and secure, if a little scared too, I am always behind you. Okay. I think that's it. I'm gonna see what happens if we go another way. If there is anything I can do if I go a different way. I'll turn left this time. You grip the steering wheel a little tighter as you maneuver the vehicle around the narrow, winding roads. The droning engine throbs in time with your beating heart as you speed towards your destination. Driving along the empty stretch of road framed by the monotonous forest of trees, either side your mind wanders to places you thought you'd forgotten. To stories of horrendous accidents that befell drivers along this stretch of road the locals called the Witch's Walk. You shiver a little and try to think of something else, anything else. The wind picks up and soon starts to rain. You turn on the windscreen wipers, though it's still hard to see much outside as the car journeys on. You pass some large stones by the side of the road with what looks like runes on them. You strain your eyes, trying to make out what's written on them. Distracted, you barely have time to react as suddenly, as if from nowhere, the truck directly in front of you. I'll veer off to the right. You spin the steering wheel, turning to the right, and the car spins around in circles on a slippery, wet road. It shudders to a stop, and you look up. There's nothing on the road, no sign of the truck, nothing but the rain and the moonlight. You drive on, breathing hard, counting your blessings at your narrow escape. You start to calm down, your grip on the steering wheel relaxing slightly. I'll turn on the radio. You turn on the radio and flick through several stations, hoping to hear some music. Instead, there's just static. Maybe the storm's interfering. Then the voice in the static. I'm coming for you. Quickly, turn off the radio and concentrate on driving. You drive on in silence, trying to concentrate on the road. A little further on, Your headlamps start dimming and then turn off. Frantically, you turn them off and on again. Finally, the headlamps turn back on and stay on. And suddenly, two piercing eyes, out of nowhere, staring deep into you, directly in front of the car. Accelerate. Instinctively, you slam your foot down hard on the accelerator, hoping you just imagine that you hit something, wanting more than anything to get away from wherever you were. You drive on more slowly, more cautiously, trying not to think too much about what just happened. You know you almost hit me this time. The woman's soft voice pierces your heart, and then you scream out in alarm, slamming the brakes. Sat beside you is a woman dressed all in black, a hood obscuring her face. You push yourself against the car door, to physically separate yourself from her as much as possible. Demand, "Who am I?" "Just a guide on your journey." She smiles an unearthly smile at you. "Please, drive." Trembling, you start the car up again, the familiar sound of the engine reassuring you, calming you slightly as you put the car into gear and resume driving, your unwanted passenger beside you silent. You keep your eyes on the road, terrified to look at who and what is sat next to you. "You should be more careful," she says, her voice quiet, almost a whisper, but enough to terrify you. You nod, hands still trembling on the steering wheel as you drive on into the storm. "Don't worry, I'm here to make sure you get where you need to go." You don't feel like thanking her. Soon you arrive at a bridge, and you don't recall ever being here. Thunder and lightning surround you, and the rain beats down on the car as you go across. You can see your hands visibly trembling, your heart beating faster and faster. Where are we going? You'll see soon enough. Her long fingernails wrap for a moment on the dashboard. Please keep driving. You drive on in silence, wishing there were other cars on the road, hoping for some help. Then she speaks, her voice soft but cutting through the noise of the engine. You have no idea what's happening, do you? You hear her faintly chuckling to herself. You never do. She sighs deeply. That truck that almost hit you? You know how she knows about that? You wonder how she knows about that. Well, it didn't miss. A pause. It never misses. What? I'm afraid, my dear, you're very and quite dead. Her voice is very matter of fact. It sends shivers down your spine. And have been for at least a decade. She smiles at you. That awful, unnatural smile. Remain silent. That's impossible. The woman examines your stunned face with cold eyes. We do this every year, my dear. Every year since your accident. You reenact your final moments, then I bring you home. Just like I do every Halloween. She smiles at you, and you start to remember. The truck, the crash, the confusion, the pain, the desperation as you tried to cling for life. Your last breath. A tunnel appears up ahead, glowing strangely with an eerie light. There, she says, pointing to the tunnel ahead. Her fingers bony and old. That is where we're both going. I'll drive into the tunnel. You don't want to, but you push your car forward, noticing your tormentor smiling in the seat beside you. It's time to go home. The glow expands, enveloping the car as it enters the tunnel. You are gone from the land of the living. Again, And so our tale comes to an end, my delicious friend. And while you feel safe and secure, if a little scared too, I am always behind you. Hey. Okay, so there are some different stories I can get from this. Let's see what happens if I go straight. It's gonna be a bit different, isn't it? Drive straight on. You remember it's just a long drive straight ahead, your foot pressing down on the accelerator. You hardly notice the rain start to fall, but it soon turns into a full-blown downpour. You hear thunder in the distance. Lightning flashes light up the sky for the brief seconds. You think you see a figure up ahead on the side of the road, illuminated by the flash of lightning, standing perfectly still. It's dark though, and you can't be sure. Drive on. You decide it's not worth the risk and drive on, not stopping for anyone. You probably imagined it anyway. The storm intensifies as you drive on a few miles. Then another crack of thunder. Lightning flashes, and you see what you're sure is exactly the same figure at the side of the road again. A chill runs up your spine. Drive on. You think it'd be a bit crazy to stop for strangers out here in the middle of nowhere, so you decide to drive on. You continue for a few minutes, the heavens opening up to a massive downpour, making it hard to see. Up ahead you spot what looks like the same figure you saw before, but that's impossible. Creep out. You're determined to drive on, but the engine sputters and dies. You look through the windshield, the surroundings, illuminated just now by the moon. As you turn the key in the ignition, hoping, praying it will start. You jump as the passenger door opens and a woman, around 22 years old if you had to guess, slides into the passenger seat. Thanks so much for stopping. I thought I'd be stuck out here in this awful storm. Sorry, did I scare you? Nodding no, trying to convince yourself as much as possible, as much as your passenger. Trying to convince yourself as much as your passenger. You start the car easily. The familiar sound of the engine reassuring you, calming you slightly as you put the car into gear and resume driving your new passenger beside you silently. You keep your eyes on the road but glance over and smile at the woman next to you, asking her where she's headed. It's not too far, just keep driving straight. We'll get there soon enough. You think it's odd that she appears to be bone dry. Surely she should be soaked out in the rain like that. And why do you suddenly feel cold all over? I'm Alice Malloy. And you are? You tell her your name and can't help think that she looks a bit oddly dressed, like someone from the 60s, maybe. Dressed for Halloween? Oh, you are a funny one, aren't you? Are you just jesting with me? You apologize, hoping you didn't offend her. Alice shivers a little, rubbing her arms. The heating doesn't seem to be working in your car. Can I borrow your jacket? I'm feeling a little bit cold. You agree, and she stretches to get your jacket from the back seat, looking at it strangely before she puts it around her shoulders. What a weird design. I've never seen a jacket like this. Warm, though. Thank you. You smile and drive on, relaxing a little. She seems friendly enough, if a little odd. As you pass a graveyard, the girl seems to sink further into her seat, as if she is afraid. She relaxes as soon as it's in your rear view mirror. You look at each other and both laugh at being a bit spooked. You drive on, and on the outskirts of town, she asks you to slow down. You arrive at a very normal-looking house just outside town. Alice steps out of the car and waves to you through the window. Thanks so much. You really saved me. See you around. You wave and drive off, looking in your rear view mirror. But you don't see her anymore. She must have gone into the house already. Thinking of her as you drive on, you wonder why you felt so weirded out by her. You can't help shake the thought that forgotten something. You can't help shake the thought that Yeah, that's English. Your jacket, that's it. And your wallet is in the pocket. Damn it. You turn your car around and return to Alice's home, a bit embarrassed at your folly. Getting out, you ring the doorbell and wait. A woman opens and an elderly woman peers up at you. Hello, yes. How can I help you, dear? Hi, is Alice here? Alice. There's not been an Alice here for decades. You explain that you helped her get home. That does sound like Alice. Wait here. The old lady goes back into the house and shows you an old black and white photograph. It's the same woman you gave a ride to. Alice lived here a long time ago. She died of pneumonia, trying to get home one night. The old woman's face drops in sadness. Such a tragedy. She was a lovely girl, full of life. She left us far too soon. You protest on how incredulous that sounds. It's the truth, dear. She's buried in the local cemetery, if you don't believe me. Oh, so we go to the cemetery and we find the jacket on top of her grave. You thank the lady and hurriedly run back to your car, mind racing. Starting the car, you head back the way you came. How can this be happening? You arrive at the cemetery you passed on your way back to the house. You run into a small graveyard, checking the names of the headstones till you see it. Your jacket, draped around a headstone. Approaching slowly, your heart starts beating hard. You cautiously pick up your jacket and read the inscription. Here lies Alice Malloy. The end? And so our tale comes to an end, my delicious friend. And while you feel safe and secure, if a little scared too, I am always behind you. Okay. That was the 3 stories, I believe, of the Halloween Hypertales. I'm gonna see if there's anything else I can get from going to... There was definitely a left. There's a lot more you can do on the left. So what if I veer left instead? The truck's lights behind you, and the vehicles miss each other by inches, both swerving across the lanes. Your heart is beating fast, and you take a few long, deep breaths to try to calm down. You drive on, breathing hard, counting your blessings that you narrow escape. Oh no, it's probably gonna be the same, isn't it? It's probably gonna be the same, isn't it? You start to calm down, your grip on the steering wheel relaxing slightly. I'll drive in silence this time. You drive on in silence, trying to concentrate on the road. A little further on, your headlamps start dimming and then turn off. Frantically, turn them back on again. Okay, I'm gonna stop the car this time. You slam on the brakes, sure you hit something. An animal, maybe? You can't be certain. It happened so quickly, and your mind was so very far away. Heart beating fast, you slowly open the car door, venturing out into the darkness, staying close to the car. Taking a deep breath of the cold night air, you walk around the vehicle, checking for damage, crouching to look underneath it, hoping there's nothing there. To your immense relief, there isn't. You try and compose yourself, a bit spooked, but ready to go on. You hear an owl hooting in the distance, and the wind is picking up again. The rain seems relentless. Best to get back in the car. You drive on more slowly, more cautiously, trying not to think too much about what just happened. You know, you almost hit me this time. Oh no, she's back! Get out of the car. You screamed and tried to get out of the car, but the door is jammed somehow. Now, no need for hysterics. She smiles an unearthly smile at you. Please be a dear and drive. I feel like it's going to be the same. Scream at them to get out. You've had enough. You screamed and yelled at your unwanted passenger to get out. She seems unperturbed by your protests. I don't think so. She smiles an unearthly smile at you. Please be a dear and keep going. We're almost there. Her voice is commanding, almost hypnotic, and a little more sinister. You feel compelled to comply. Oh, I'm not going into that tunnel this time. That's impossible. No, you refuse to accept this. How can you be dead? It's not impossible. The woman examines your unbelieving face with cold eyes and sighs. No, I'm not going. Stop that car. No, dear, she says. There's no stopping now. The accelerator and brake pedals no longer respond. No matter how desperately you stomp them with your foot. You try and steer the car away from the tunnel. But even that doesn't work. The wheels are locked. You're going in. It's time to go home. The glow expands, enveloping the car as it enters the tunnel. You are gone from the land of the living. Again. Alright. I mean, there wasn't much change. You couldn't really change the story. It kind of went on no matter what you said. Unfortunately. I was hoping there would be some different paths I could take. But there is not. I have no option but to die. I wonder if I'm dead when I'm picking up the haunted guy on fire, or when I'm picking up the girl, Alice. But then again, I was also talking to a living person when I picked up Alice. But the other guy, I can't tell. Unless that person wasn't living. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I was living during all these, episodes. Or stories. Anyway, yeah, that was 3 Halloween Hypertales. Those were fun to read, and I enjoyed them. They were creepy enough. I hope you guys enjoyed these as well, and the visuals were really good. Whoever made them, I like them a lot. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.